Tribe, this is Jax. Today in our kitchen we are going to make our carrot Zini cake. If you haven't seen that recipe, it is on the website, so go ahead and pull it up because we're going to be making some carrot cake our way. The first thing you want to do when you start this thing out is get yourself a round pan. Now I'm going to do a single layer. You can do a double layer cake. Just use smaller pans, maybe like a 6-inch or an 8-inch will give you a stackable cake. Or you can just do one large pan like I am. I believe this is like the 9-inch, and just do a single layer. The other thing you want to do is set your oven to 350 degrees. So preheat it before you get started. We are gonna start with, get a sifter. Sift your flour so I'm gonna give you a nice smoother cake. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is measure out 1.5 cups of almond flour. Okay, when you use almond flour, make sure that it's not wholemeal almond flour, because wholemeal flour has the skins in it, and that's going to give you a denser, more fibrous cake, and you don't want that. You want refined, super fine. This is super fine almond flour that's blanched. Okay, that's kind of what we're using right now. Now you can sift this real good. It's going to help eliminate some of those clumps in your almond flour, especially if you keep it in the refrigerator. So almonds will go rancid on you. The best way to keep that from happening is to refrigerate your almond flours and all your nuts. Actually, it extends the shelf life. All right, if you can see here, there's a lot of chunks in your almond flour. Okay, so you don't want that. So when you get to the end, all I do is get rid of it. And I always put a little bit more than a cup and a half, just because of that fact. You're gonna be getting rid of those chunks. Next up, you're gonna do 1/4 cup of coconut flour. Nice sound effect there. The next thing we're gonna do is add some baking powder. Make sure you don't mix up your baking powder with your baking soda. So baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and then your baking soda, only 1/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, it's so easy to get these two mixed up. You're also gonna do cinnamon. I have some nutmeg, allspice, or cloves. Now the recipe calls for allspice, but you can do cloves, or you could do half allspice and half cloves. Okay, and here I do have half and half of those two spices. I put in the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the allspice, and the cloves, the salt as well. All right, let's talk about sweeteners. Okay, I like using the Lakanto monk fruit, which is a mixture of erythritol and monk fruit. If you have got issues with erythritol or sugar alcohols, you might do better with allulose. Allulose is another type of sugar alcohol that comes from vegetables, but you won't have the bloating as much. And we're putting in a 1/2 cup of the golden monk fruit. So it's kind of like your brown sugar. Now, one thing I want to talk about is the coconut shreds and the pecans or walnuts. We're using walnuts and we're using coconut. You want to roast these 200 degrees for about maybe 3 minutes. Just don't burn it. Just watch it really closely, and I just kind of dump it together in a pan and then I roast them. It gives it a really good flavor, and I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my dried ingredients. We're gonna go ahead and talk about our zucchini. Now this is, you can definitely go up on your zucchini. I believe what it calls for 1/2 cup of zucchini. Well, after you shred it, leave it in a separate bowl to sweat. You can add some extra salt and it will definitely make it sweat. And then you want to take a cheesecloth or any kind of cloth and kind of strain it, like get rid of the liquid. Now, if you're on strict keto, I would just get rid of the carrot and up your zucchini, okay? At that point, you have a zucchini cake, but leaving in the carrot just a little bit, you can have carrot cakes in some keto plans, so that's why I'm leaving it in here. You're gonna go ahead and add your carrot and zucchini into your bowl. The next thing you're gonna do is crack 4 eggs. And I do like to do this in a separate bowl, even though the recipe doesn't call for that. You can dump it, but I like to do it separately. You're gonna just give them a little whisk with a fork, and then you're gonna add your 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Okay. And then you're gonna do your vanilla. And the vanilla, I mean, if you like vanilla, you can always go up on your vanilla. I'm gonna go ahead and do 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So the molasses is gonna give it a depth in your cake, but if you're on strict keto or low carb, you may wanna leave this out. I like it because it has a lot of minerals, and it's just a tiny bit. Then lastly, we are gonna go ahead and add our wet ingredients. And again, just give this, it does help if your butter is completely melted. I noticed that our butter wasn't quite all the way melted, which is fine, it's gonna all melt. All right, so everything looks pretty good. And then you're just gonna take your pan, which you have already prepared and greased. I did put parchment paper on the bottom, so you just cut a circle just by placing your pan on the parchment paper, drawing a circle, cutting it out. I like to use coconut oil to grease my pan before I put the parchment paper on. There, just dump the dough right in there. I keep calling it a dough, but it's not a dough. It's supposed to be a batter. And you just kind of spread it out evenly. All right, and this is how it looks like. Go ahead and put this in the oven for about, let me check my recipe here. 25 to 30 minutes because I am using the larger baking pan. So I believe last time I made it, it was closer to 30 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. I'm gonna start my timer at 25. Hi guys, welcome back. We are gonna make the frosting for our carrot ziti cake. And what you'll need is some grass-fed, grass-finished cream cheese. You're gonna need some softened butter. And you're gonna need powdered sugar, but not sugar. You need the Lancanto powder monk fruit sweetener. Now, if you don't have this, just take your regular monk fruit sweetener and run it through your blender or like a little bullet or smoothie maker, and it makes powdered sugar. But I'm gonna start out with 8 ounces of the cream cheese. One thing to know, you can make this plant-based by substituting a plant-based cream cheese. They do make them, so you can buy those at your like Whole Foods, I think. Sprouts might carry them. Just look for plant-based cream cheese. Same with the butter. Here's 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter. Again, make sure it's grass-fed, grass-finished. And we're gonna do a half a cup of the monk fruit. Also, we're gonna do about 2 teaspoons, 1 or 2 teaspoons of the vanilla. Now, this recipe does call for 1 tablespoon of the coconut cream. That is completely optional at this point. You don't need it necessarily. If you want more of like the coconut flavor, go ahead and add it. If you don't have that, leave it out. It's not gonna change your frosting at all. All right, and And your frosting is done. Now, if you are going to double stack a cake, so say you make 2 6-inch cake rounds, all you're gonna do is double your cream cheese frosting, okay? So just dump your frosting right on top of your cake. And you're easily gonna spread it around. Now, if you are a cake decorator, you may want to add a carrot on top, if you wish. But another option, like people like me that are not good at decorating cakes, is just roast or bake some coconut shreds, unsweetened coconut shreds, and some pecans or walnuts, and to top off your cake. And if you serve it right away, it does give it like a nice crunch. Okay, I think my cake is frosted pretty good. I'm not gonna do the sides, it's just gonna get more messy that way, but I am going to finish off my cake with some roasted coconut and some pecans. Actually, these are walnuts, but you can do pecans too. Have yourself a delicious dessert to take to your family gatherings. And don't even tell them there's no sugar in there. They won't know. Well, maybe somebody that's particular might know, but for the most part, they won't know. All right, here you have it. Your Zini, is that what it's called? Yeah, your Zini cake. All right, hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you make it in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, and whatever else y'all do when you do. All right, shalom.
I don't like this.
Today at Nomadic Wonders, we're doing a taste test of the carrot cake.
I can't take this seriously.
Take a bite. Open wide.
Not a huge bitey.
How is it?
He can't tell what it's
Oh, well, and I just bit my cheek really hard.
Oh my gosh.
And give me 1 second.
What kind of cake is it? Oh my gosh, at this rate.
Carrot cake.